The light in this room is very dramatic. In the summer of 2012, right before I graduated uni, I made a video called 5 Years Time about where I'd like to be and what I'd like to have done in 5 years time. And those years have passed so swiftly. Oh my goodness. Someone on Twitter told me that it had been 5 years and it was time to make a new one. And I couldn't really believe it because that didn't feel so long ago. But looking back at that video, I got a real sense of where I was then. Like, it really put me back in that part of me's shoes, what I found important, what I valued, what I wanted. And to be honest, all of the things that I didn't know about where my life would take me. Having said that, and without sounding too self-indulgent, it really made me feel proud of all of the things that I have accomplished in these past 5 years. And it was a nice way of taking stock of things that have happened rather than the whole longing and wanting of things that I feel like I haven't done right or I haven't been good enough for. It's a task I recommend, whether you want to do it publicly or privately, in broad terms in the way that I did, or about things specifically, like where you want to have gone, something related to your career, something related to your personal life and personal growth. Think hard, but don't put too much pressure on yourself. These are your goals for today, this hour, this minute. They don't have to be your goals tomorrow. But now, on my last day of being 25, I'm going to talk through my new list and reflect on some of the things that I said 5 years ago. So in 5 years time, I'm going to be 30, about to turn 31, and in 5 years time, I'd like to have been to Asia, India, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. I'd like to be paying a mortgage on a place of my own, or let's be more realistic, have a substantial deposit that will at some point go down to, property of my own. But I'm dreaming big here. I'd like to have published a novel and be making time for writing every single day. This is one that has come up from my recent festival adventures. I'd like to be the first person at the barrier when the festival gates open and carried there by really strong running legs that maybe done like a half marathon or two. I'm not going to put too much pressure on that aspect of it. I'd like to be friends with everyone I'm friends with right now, keep in touch with those who've moved away, and be friends with even more people who inspire me and excite me and make me laugh. I'd like to be eating seasonally and locally where possible. I just read a bunch of books about climate change and they made me even more aware of the fragility of this world. I'd like to be a better communicator with my family. I'd like to play tennis regularly. Every now and then I try and get back into it and I'm not that good, but hopefully that's something that will change. I like to be making videos regularly about things that are important to me and this community and respect the time that I put aside for it. I'd hope to have visited more refugee camps and brought the crisis to more people's attention. In 5 years time, I would like to have learned more about the world, whether that's just through night classes, reading, or conversation. I won't go through all of the lists that I wrote 5 years ago, but I put a card up here so you can watch it and I'll put it in the description as well. But here are some reflections. 5 years ago, I said that I'd love to have a story I was proud of published. And it's funny because that's obviously on my next list as well for when I'm 30. But I remember it's a different kind of feeling. For me, when I said that 5 years ago, I said I'd like to already be working the second one. And that really played into the sense that I'm running out of time, you know, like I'm Alexander Hamilton in Non-Stop, just panicking, running out of time. And it reminds me of when I think I was 5 or 6, and 14 seemed to me like the oldest age you could possibly be, because that was the age that my older sister was. And I remember saying and writing down somewhere, but I can't ever find it, but I remember definitely saying, when I'm 14, I'm going to have novels out. Plural, novels. And that's something that has always been a measure of me, because it's always felt like it's had to, it's had to exist to prove that I'm a writer. It's something that I really want to do because there are stories that I am trying to tell and I haven't quite managed to tell. With the growth of my career and my confidence and my understanding of where I need to make time, I write more because I love it more than ever, and less because I need to prove that I'm a writer. I said I hoped I'd still be living with friends, and I have lived with friends for many, many years, but I now actually live alone and I really like it. Indianapolis rent prices have allowed me the luxury of my own space, and I've really enjoyed understanding more about my patterns and my behavior. I feel completely uninhibited at home, especially when it comes to making food and playing music and just being in my body, and that has been priceless. I said I wanted to have lived in London, but I saw myself in Chicago, California. And as everyone knows, Indianapolis is the LA of the Midwest. Something like that. I never saw myself here, nor imagined that I would imagine it, because why would I? But I'm so grateful I moved here, because I've grown so much from this experience in so many ways. It was the perfect time of my life to do it. And also just to make the most of my time being alive. This sounds very big and existential, but just to try new things and live in new places and meet different people and not be having the same people around you all the time. It's been hard at times, but I'm glad I did it. I'm so glad I had sisters and a mother who had all at some point uprooted themselves and moved to another country, to the point that money and visas were only ever a question, never the worth and value of it. My travel goals are hilariously similar. I said that I wanted to go to Africa and Asia, I wanted to see Petra, and I wanted to have Interrail. This is an early idea, but I want to Interrail next September, and I think September, because I want to do an EU farewell tour, and that's going to kind of manifest itself in different ways. I still haven't been to Petra, but I did go to Jordan in 2016 with John to visit the refugee camps there and speak to Syrian refugees, and that was, I think, easily the most important trip I've ever taken in my life. I do think now my travel goals are sometimes less about seeing things and more about listening to people and trying to amplify them without falling into the traps of poverty tourism or speaking over people or framing their story in a certain way. I completely forgot that I said that I wanted to be a pro at camera equipment of making videos for other companies, because that has just completely fallen off the charts of my desire. I'm still not a pro. I use the exact same camera that I used in those videos, and I love this camera, and I don't feel the need to upgrade to much else, you know, maybe get some new lenses and so on. But I like the level of camera aptitude that I have. I am excited to try new things with my skills that I know and build those skills in relation to what I want to see through the camera. I said that I don't want kids. I don't have any kids. I said I wanted to have met J.K. Rowling, and I actually did. I met her, I met her in the signing of Casual Vacancy for like 20 seconds. And I also, on that night at the South Bank Centre, there was a big hall of people, and I was towards the back, and I asked her an obscure question about death. So in that sense, yes, but I still would love to like sit down and have a chat, and that I think may be a lifelong goal of mine. But yeah, she's just still such a hero to me. So I said that I didn't want to be at my overdraft and just have a student loan, and I'm really proud of this one because I'm not in my overdraft, and I do just have a student loan. I really, for some reason, locked in last year and this year on the idea of paying off my student loan completely, and I have about £6,600 left to pay. My personal goal was to pay my student loan by the time I was 26, but that's not going to happen. I still want to recognise the achievement because, as you may be able to tell from the language in my older video, I fully expected to be paying that loan off until I was well into my 30s or 40s. I said I'd like to have an office, and I do have an office. I go into it every day. I love the separation between my work at home mode and my work at work mode, if that makes any sense. Because sometimes, even though I am doing work at home, it's just really nice to like go in and sit down at your desk and be like, what are we going to do today? Still be friends with my friends. I think I'm still friends with pretty much everyone I was friends with when I was 20. Still be blonde, mostly blonde. This bit is getting ever darker, but yeah, mostly blonde. The last one made me laugh. It said I would like to have seen the Killers several times, because this was around when their previous album came out, and I had seen them, but like not that much. And at the beginning of August this month, I saw the Killers twice in 1 week. I have tickets to see them 6 other times this year. Well, I've got tickets to Lost Lake Festival in October, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make that. But I have tickets to see them twice in November and 4 times during their January-February tour in the US. So I think my past self would have been proud. I'm so excited. I did make a promise to myself that I would see them next time their tour came around as many times as I could, and I'm apparently living up to that. But it's bonkers, I say. What are your goals for 5 years' time? If you have any questions about mine, also leave those in the comments. Let's get discussing, and set a calendar reminder for 2022 to go back and look and see where you've gone. See you in 1,825 days. Goodbye.